Yeah, I'm like RJ, I want my cake.
Shut your festering gob, you tit. Jerry, there's a chair at the end of the
RJ
table.
Yeah, I gotta
would say,
film though.
Where's the dessert?
Okay, who's starting out?
And I'm willing to start this, and I
What
don't
did
mean
you
to
do?
sound a
Oh,
little.
me.
I don't mean to sound a little maudlin or bossy here at my tall end of my chair, but there's something I want to say about my mother. And when I was, and I'm going to start to cry already. When I was 15 or 16, I watched her take care of her mother, who was dying, and how strong you were, and how important it was, and how you had her in your spare room, and she had the little bell she'd ring when she needed something. Do you remember that? And I don't mean to make you cry, but I want to talk about important things. And you were so strong and wonderful with your mother. And I know that all of us, Laura especially, and David and Tom and I, were here for you. And I want to acknowledge what you did for your mother. Okay? On your 85th birthday. And that's what I have to say without going into any more detail. I think that's enough.
Thank you.
And who wants to go next? We don't have to go in any order.
I'll go next.
I want to go next.
Oh, then keep her going clockwise then.
You go next.
I'd really like to second that because I thought about that and I really never thought that this was something I could do. And it's turned out to be something I've absolutely been able to do. And I love going down there in the morning and she looks at me and goes, "Hi, honey." I mean, you were so sweet. You haven't always been so sweet, but you were so sweet. And that's all I have to say about that. I'm happy you're here. You're welcome here.
I'm glad she's still here.
That.
Thank you, Laura.
Okay.
Thank you much.
David's next, I think.
Well, the family had a boat that we all affectionately called the Boomer because it was flat, and when it hit a wave, it would basically just shudder. It wouldn't slice through it. It would never slice through it. It would hit the wave and just go bam. And I remember we were up, I think it was Alexandria, and it was your very first water skiing adventure. You had never got up on water skis.
She did that.
And yes, and so RJ was driving the boat. I think you and I were standing on the shore watching. Somebody else in the boat being the watcher. And you got up, you tried to get up a couple times and it failed, but finally, you persisted, which is kind of your personality, of course. You got up, and for about 200 yards before you fell, despite all our yelling and gesturing, you were squatting down on those skis, and you were petrified to get up. We all referred to it as the 200-yard douche.
Did the lake level go down? I mean.
That's hilarious.
But that was a fun time, and I just to finish up, after you got done, I remember you came in and you were just laughing. You thought it was just great, and I guess that's one of the things that I really appreciate about you is that you've always been able to laugh at yourself, to not take yourself too seriously, and I think you had to do that because you had a partner in life that was just the opposite.
And I'd like to raise our glasses to RJ on that note, just so he doesn't feel too bad out there.
Exactly.
That's hilarious. Cheers, Mama.
Plus,
to you
I don't
and
mind.
to RJ.
I don't mind telling you that the song playing on the stereo right now.
It's the RJ song.
It's the RJ
It's
song.
my RJ song.
Well, it's mine too now.
I just love. I think of him.
It's a little. We can't have it too loud though, honey, because she can't hear.
And knocks you
Off your feet. Okay. Anybody else want to?
Any takers?
I have a funny story.
You're raking up your past.
In high school,
all right.
in high school, one of my best friends was named Guy Evans. Dave, would you remember them? You went to school with an Evans.
I
They were
remember Gary
only a
Evans.
13 farm family.
I went to school with Judy Evans.
Yeah.
Yeah, we all had Evans
We're
in
friends
our.
on Facebook.
Yep, yep.
Guy would be my age now. He was alive. He died of a heart attack 2 years ago.
Wow.
Did you know? I didn't tell
No.
you. Yeah. Well, the last time I saw him was at my 40th class reunion. He didn't go. I found out he wasn't going. I stopped by his house. And he'd gotten so big he couldn't walk. Literally, he was 350, 400 pounds.
Wow.
Very unhealthy.
Smoking like a chimney.
Star athlete in high school. But anyway, that's not the point of the story, but just a little background on him. But Cheryl and Guy Evans always had kind of a special relationship. Cheryl always liked him. And she nicknamed him Duty. Duty, D-O-O-D-Y.
Like
And she used to tease Guy Evans and call him Duty, and she'd go, "Oh, Duty pooped in his pants." I think we were 15, 16, 17 years old. Duty pooped in his pants, and he called you Duty back, remember that? He called each other Duty.
Oh, that's hilarious. That's
I don't know
funny.
where Duty came from.
Who knows?
But anyway, funny story about Guy relating to me is I had an old Mustang, and the motor was worn out. And Guy was a pretty good mechanic, so out at his farm there was this big bur oak tree. We took my red Mustang underneath it and we hoisted the engine out. Overhauled the motor, him and I. My job was putting the piston rings on the pistons. Well, I screwed it up. Got the engine back together. He didn't know it, and the thing ran and ate 3 times as much oil as before we overhauled it. But I can still see that engine hanging from this bur oak tree. Now he's gone.
Oh.
Great guy. Anyway, Duty pooped in your pants, Duty.
Yeah.
You like to give it to
That's
them.
hilarious. Oh,
Okay.
God, I love old stories. Anybody else have one? Anything?
Thomas,
Come
when you were
on.
little?
I just have 2 little quick things.
Yeah.
Whenever
wouldn't
I
be,
think
it'd be
of
different
Cheryl,
in your
I can't
generation.
help but think of potato pancakes and RJ.
Ah.
Remember when we would get together and have a meal, and it was always potato pancakes and steak, potato pancakes and some other kind of meat with RJ.
Yes.
Yeah, always.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah,
And
yeah.
I still love potato
Linda, we
pancakes.
make
I
them.
think of you.
We make them
Yeah, and
winter
that's
probably once.
it's a
Oh,
good story because potato pancakes are a big
Oh, yeah.
part of our.
Yep.
Oh yeah, and I remember
yeah.
RJ always saying,
Barb-
one time he was
Barb
at
and
the
I
house
make-
and I
I
was
make
making
them.
them, and he
I
said,
make
no,
them.
you're
Yep.
using the wrong grater.
Yeah, it's culture.
Because he had to use
Sometimes
the really
we'll just
small
roll
part of
our
the grater,
breakfast
right?
sausage
And,
up in
you know.
one,
So,
or we'll make a small
let me-
piece of steak.
Yeah.
Let me remember
Potato
this.
pancakes stand out.
Cheryl
Oh, yeah.
decides she
Yeah.
sees something somewhere.
Yeah.
An electric
I have an electric griddle.
potato grater, right? Do you
It's gotta
remember
be a
that?
griddle,
You
tough
bought them
one
for
griddle.
everybody?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we're over here, it's Christmas
Lot
Eve, and
easier
we're
that
making
way.
potato pancakes, and we're using the new grater. So you don't have to grate them by yourself, it's like an electric thing. It was the worst thing ever.
Oh.
You remember that?
I would love
So
one of those.
we wind
Or
up
the
grating the
hand grater.
potatoes by ourselves and laughing about how miserable they were. And when they left that night, RJ and
Do them
Cheryl,
for, let's say, spread like this and do it.
we had stuff in a bag, and I remember the grater started to go. Right there, walking out the door. It was the funniest thing. We threw them all in the garbage. Do you remember?
Sharon, you must have.
grandma stories? You
I
must
do.
have something. Come
Yeah,
on.
you've all heard. You've heard me tell this one before, but it's at my high school graduation. Everyone was at my house. Grandma, you were there. You remember.
I remember your high school graduation.
She said,
Maybe she knows
We were all at my graduation. I was the big man on campus that day, so I had a big, 8-inch long stogie I was smoking with all my guy friends. And Grandma walks over and sees me smoking it. She says, "Let me have a puff on that." She takes a big long drag on my cigar. All my friends are watching her. Look on there.
And they're impressed.
Huge cloud of smoke, and then afterwards she looks at me, she goes, "I inhale, I don't fuck around." They looked at me like your grandma's so cool. And after that, she's been famous with my circle of friends. Or infamous.
I inhale, I don't fuck around.
That's always gotten retold so many times to my friends.
Cheryl, you and my stepmother Teak would have gotten along great. She would have done the same thing.
Yeah. Paulette, do you have any stories to
Well,
share?
I just have a question. Does she burn toast all the time?
I burned toast this morning.
It runs in the family.
Does it run in the family?
I thought I was going to burn the house down this morning.
You're a toast burner.
Well,
You
at
burn
work
everything.
time,
I feel like dark
she would
toast.
burn toast almost every morning on a unit, and the smoke alarms would go off. And we'd
want a
all be
funny
out
one?
there waving things, so we always wondered about
That's hilarious, because I burned toast this morning, and I told Laura I better get it out of there before I burn the house down.
Yeah, but we like burnt toast.
Yeah, we
Yeah,
do.
but not as burned. This was ready to
That's
burn
when
the
it's
house
best.
down.
Cheryl, do you remember Annihilated?
We like burnt
This is a
toast.
funny
Yeah,
I do too, but not that burned.
Annihilated.
I'm telling you, this was annihilated.
really bad.
Yeah, this was ready to catch on fire toast.
When at dinner, he called it annihilated pork chops.
You know,
Who hasn't told the story yet,
Lori
Lori?
did an essay at 3M and discovered there was no water at all.
Let's stay focused here. Don't think Lori's told the story yet.
There you go, Lori.
And she's got to have some little story. Lori, do you have a little story?
A Lori story?
When I think of Shirley, you know what I think of? No, flowers. Just beautiful flowers. A lot of how many summer days, we'd come up, stop by your house, always, the porch.
Flowers,
Just
of course.
beautiful flowers everywhere. That's what I think about.
And
when
I'll
I
bet
think
your
about you.
neighbors miss that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, you had, I know. We drove by her house the other night, and it's hard. And I said, well, I can see why that guy moved the house because he's, needed handicap.
course.
But what a beautiful oasis you made of that place. It was just, it was a showstopper. It was gorgeous. And you did that you were always out there grubbing around, working your ass off. You made it a beautiful
I agree.
oasis.
Toast to that one. That's
Yeah.
Shirley's flowers.
Shirley's flowers. Serious.
Well, she worked hard on them, and it showed. It was gorgeous. Just gorgeous.
Well, that's what I mean. It
remember-
doesn't have to be an old story.
Cheryl,
Just
do you
a little
remember
story.
years ago, Cheryl, do you remember when Yenna and I were riding bikes around the lake and we stopped to use your bathroom and you were out in the backyard with the flowers? You remember that? And Yenna and I came through the side and I'm like, oh, she's got a bathroom, she won't mind. And we were out there admiring your beautiful flowers.
Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Do you remember the day?
I think she does because she did tell Yenna that she remembers that
Yeah.
she met
Sorry,
her
I'm knocking
before
your
with
phone
the
That's all right. You can knock
You
me
know,
out.
I think it would not be a complete rendition of Cheryl's, at least some of Cheryl's life, if we didn't mention the fact that her hackneyed little sayings that she came up with over the course of time that she kind of made up, kind of on the spot, that became part of her lexicon.
Yeah. And those are, David?
Well, I don't remember. I don't
Do it
remember.
going around the corner. Remember how she used to dance around the corner?
Yeah.
She'd sing off key,
Sing off-
which Jerry still accuses me of, and he says it comes from her.
How
I'll do
about,
it.
how about this one? take a flying leap at a frog. She told somebody to take a flying leap at a frog one time. And I remember, of course, now RJ would just fall on the floor when he heard that.
How about tougher than old Billy's shoelaces?
Tougher than old Billy's shoelaces.
That's where we got that.
How many times have I heard that?
We used that one.
You say Billy Poker all the
But
time.
I'd like to point out,
Billy Poker.
That's
I'd like to point out one
That's
thing.
Cooper.
We don't know what a
No,
Billy
I don't
Poker
remember
is.
Stand
what,
up for this.
I don't remember what the music was, but here she
Oh,
comes.
imitation.
She used to come around the corner. Coming around the corner. We
All shoulders like a drag queen.
She used to caroling. Oh, it's caroling and Christmas.
Caroling, here we go. Christmas time is here. Caroling, here she goes. And she'd come around the corner.
Laura, it was a little more shoulders going down.
I think it was more shoulders.
Would you like to
Yes.
try it again?
She would dip down low. You know what? Cheryl looked like a fullback dancing.
I think actually there was more shoulders into it.
Yeah.
All right.
A fullback going for a block.
There's a couple people who haven't had anything to say yet, and Thomas has something to say.
I got, yeah.
He's got.
I don't know if you remember this, Cheryl. Can you hear me? About 15 to 16 years ago, me and Heidi we stay at Ye Old Mill down from your old house, and this was before we were married. About 2 years before we were married.
And you were sleeping together?
Well, I never heard this. We were actually staying at separate cabin. We actually stayed at somewhere by Ye Old
Let's
Mill.
call the priest here.
Okay, so I remember us coming and telling you that we were taking a paddle boat ride. And you said something to the effect of, don't you be making love before your wedding, or I'm going to be angry. And I want you to know that we did not. But anyways, but anyways, but Grandma Shirley, seriously, I remember, going to the nursery, seeing RJ, and then going to see you. I remember you bouncing him on your leg too with that paddle toy. With the sayings that you had. I remember that very well. And, it translates on to, you with my girls. And you've never, ever forgotten to send my girls their gifts and their cards, and they really appreciate that. And just especially over the last year and a half, I've really gotten to know you a lot more. And a lot of my memories from you are from way, way, way back. Not just the cabin, but coming up here and sharing time with you. Granted, it didn't turn out that well being in the ER, but we talked about a lot of stuff, and a lot of stuff that has occurred in the past, and a lot of great memories, and being at the cabin with you and having those good times. And just learning more about you and showing you pictures of the girls and seeing your face light up, everything. It's just, I love you, so.
Thank you, Tom.
You're welcome.
Say, Barb?
I think you're the last
Barb,
one.
I think you have not commented.
That was really nice. That was really nice. I think, Shirley, my first time that I met you was memorable for me. Plus, there's lots of other little times that I've met with you. But the first time that I met you and RJ, what did we do? I mean, part of this was RJ. He wanted to take us to Chinese buffet.
Always a buffet.
Is there a buffet around here?
Well, then we came home and we played
Suppose
Black Street and smoked pot.
First time.
The first time. But, which was,
5 straight, Sharon. I told you she'd like that
Oh,
thing.
RJ.
and started smoking. And of course, me not knowing them, I thought, well, I had to partake.
Right.
But that was my first memory of Shirley, or my first time meeting her. But there's been lots of other things that have happened. One of the things that I think was really beautiful that you did for me and David was that time that you invited us over for a romantic night at her house. And you left, you set up the house, you got wine and wine glasses out, and you got flowers, and you cooked a meal for us. And then you left and just kind of left the house for us. And that was so beautiful. That was just so beautiful. And I think part of my sadness is, and part of the sadness and the beauty of getting to know you was, I lost my mother when I was young, and you have always been there for me. And you know, I see a lot of strength in you. You're very direct. You know, she says what you say, what you know what you mean, and I don't know.
Mean what you say?
You mean what you say. You know. And you're beautiful. You're very beautiful.
Here, here.
Hear, hear.
Cheers.
Let's drink to that one.
Yes.
Thank you, Barb.
Thanks,
It's
Barb.
lovely.
I think the only person who hasn't spoken, if I'm correct, is Jerry.
I want to say, you know, when you marry somebody, you get another set of parents, you know, so sometimes, you know, marrying into a family is a good thing, sometimes it's a bad thing. And I guess in 1986 when I came and met you guys, and RJ handed me the peace pipe, you know, and I was like, you know, and I'm like, I can't do that. I have 2 jobs, I get drug tested in both of them. But anyway, I want to say that you've been consistent, Cheryl, over the years, is that everything you've sent me, and it's always been clothing, has always fit, and it's something I can wear. And my mother would send me like a hot pink, like driver's cap with a matching hot pink T-shirt or something like this. Is
incredible.
You know, or something that just doesn't fit. And I don't know how you knew my size, but everything you sent me always fit, and it was always something that I would wear, which is pretty rare. I mean, think about it.
I can second that for me as well.
Yeah, I mean, so anyway, you're a great shopper, and you're a great mother-in-law, and thank you for birthing that one. Because 25 years later, I still have her. So anyway, cheers to you. I'm glad you lived. I'm glad you're still around, and I sure appreciate your company.
Cheers.
Cheers, cheers. Cheers. Here, long life.
Sharon, I don't think we've heard from you yet. And I know you must have something to say.
Oh my gosh.
She's trying to pick which one. Yeah.
Oh, come on. Some little story, something.
Well, Cheryl and I used to go out now and then, you know, have a few drinks. So we're sitting in the Legion one day, and she's drinking Manhattans. I'm sure I was doing vodka tonics. And she went to the bathroom, and another Manhattan showed up. And I thought, she must ask the bartender to send another one over. And she came back and she said, "Did you order me another drink?" I said, "No, I thought you did." And she said, "Well, I didn't." And so I teased her. Some old guy was in there, and I said, "Oh, you've been flirting with that guy over there."
Did drinks to the table, yeah.
And of course, that would happen not even if hell froze over. Right? So then after a little while, these 2 guys came up, and they happened to be one that she taught Sunday school to.
Ah!
And he had some memories of her that she's ashamed of. And
Did you turn him over your knee or something?
turns out these 2 fellows, they had sent the drink over for her, and they were gay. So I just had to tell her, I'm sure glad she didn't teach my son Sunday school.
That's hilarious.
Yes.
Would that have been one of the Hardy Boys?
I don't know their name. They live on Green.
I read a book about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Would have been the Hardy Boys.
There was a Hardy Boy.
Tom Hardy.
Hardy.
Died of history.
Thank you, everybody, for participating in this. I'm gonna turn the video off pretty soon. So
Either Dan or Tom.
I just want to say thank everybody for participating in this Shirley's last
Julie's gonna share.
memorabilia here today, and
Julie's gonna share it with me on my crack pad.
I am. I'll email it to anybody who wants it.
I want it, Julie.
So aloha, arrivederci, and ciao.